always surround yourself with people who want you to win. Some of us, we may not be engaging with these groups of individuals very often, but if we recognize that in general, they want to see us win. They want to see us win in life. They want to see us win in our pursuits. They want us to be successful both on and off the court.
Welcome back to another episode of The Pursuit of Purpose. My name is Chris Kiefer, and for those of you that know me well, you may know that I am the head coach for the Coeur to Christ Saints here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, the varsity basketball team. And the business as usual and everything, this is something that I've been passionate about and always debated when's the right time to go back and coach. And one of the things that I wanted to do in coaching was expose and introduce these kids that I'm coaching, these athletes, to some of the brilliant minds and the business and the knowledge that I've come across being in the business world. And so today's episode is a presentation from a good friend of mine and an acquaintance in the business world, Art McCracken, who has a breadth of experience. He actually has been a guest on the Pursuit of Purpose podcast before. And today in this conversation, this is a presentation that he gave to this basketball team. And the topic of it is everyday leadership. So without further ado, let's jump into this presentation from Art McCracken.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Guys, thanks for having me here today. Chris, thanks for the invitation. Chris is somebody that I admire as well. Chris is a phenomenal thought leader, business leader, friend. Chris is a good human being, and you're fortunate to have him as your coach. I know his investment just in things like this sets him apart from most coaches. And so I hope that you'll give a lot of time and energy and listening and respect to Chris as your coach. I don't know how he is on the basketball court. You guys might have to challenge him with that, but outside of coaching and being on the court, Chris is a phenomenal human being. So let's dive in. What I decided to talk about today with you guys is what I refer to as everyday leadership. And I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see that, kind of follow along. Chris is recording this, so this will be available for you afterwards as well if you want to go back and look at it and jot some notes or have questions. So a lot of people talk about leadership. I've tried to simply define leadership as our ability to impact and influence the world around us. And so as you study different levels of performance, I know Chris has been a big studier of high performance habits. What are some of the habits of high performers? And these would be people that are accomplished in their life, both professionally and personally. They seem to be recognized for their way of being often, but I call this the stack of awesomeness. There's 6 things. They all start with P. And if you study high performers and you study the psychology of high performers, the things that they do, the reason that they're high performers is not because they're doing things that are extraordinary or that are abnormal. They're doing the things that nobody wants to do. And that's because they formed habits. When it comes to persuasion, they have an impact on the world around them. People watch them, they tend to follow them, listen to them. They have a level of influence that's showing up in their life. Their physiology, they're taking care of both their mind and their body. And they have regular habits about that. When it comes to physiology, the thing I didn't put on here, I doubled up on persuasion. So it's persuasion, psychology, physiology, presence, purpose, and productivity. So productivity implies that you're getting things done in your life. You set out to accomplish something and you do it. The physiology side of things that we talked about before has a lot to do with the way that we think and the way that our body responds to certain things in our life. We have a presence about ourselves and we're doing things on purpose. And so a lot of times purpose has to do with, are we clear about who we are, what we want in life, and the plan to go and get it? So we're going to dive into a few things today that I think will be helpful for you as you're working both as an individual member of your team and as you're solving for things in your life, you're all in high school, you're approaching kind of the sunset of your early curriculum and those years, and you'll be moving into adulthood soon. And so, with that comes a lot of responsibilities. So, let's start to talk about some tools that are available for you. The first one is the power of a question. Questions, when somebody asks us a great question, our mind cannot help but go to work to solve for that question. Maybe a question that we didn't want somebody to ask us. It may be a question that we're inviting of. It may just be a question that we hear somebody asking someone else, but our mind goes to work to try to think of how would I answer that? What would I bring forth based on that question? And so if we can use questions to unlock things in our life that maybe we weren't present to or we weren't traditionally thinking about, a lot of individuals will just go through life going through the motions, kind of accepting things by default. Others will go through life very much on purpose and by design. And so when we're going through things on purpose and by design, questions is one of the ways to unlock that or give us a chance to compare against what we stated was most important. So I'm going to ask some questions. And if you'll just shout out some answers, this will be participation from all of you. First question is, what makes a great coach? So Chris, you don't get a talk on this one. I want to hear from your team. What makes a great coach?
Being passionate about the game of basketball.
Okay, being passionate about the game. What else?
Someone who knows what they're doing.
Okay, somebody that knows what they're doing, that they're competent. What else?
Showing by like doing, or like leading by like doing.
Okay, role modeling the way, teaching by example.
Someone who cares about their players.
Okay, what else?
Someone who has a lot of patience. A lot of patience.
Say that again.
Someone who has a lot of patience.
Okay, patience. Anything else come to mind?
Really like dedicated to the coaching role and like the players and teaching them.
Okay, cool. So hopefully you took some notes. What makes a great coach? Chris, I hope you were taking notes. Let's go to another question. What makes a great team?
Brotherhood.
Okay, keep going.
People work together.
Okay, let's take a pause for just a minute. Who said brotherhood? I want you to give some flavor to that. What does brotherhood mean to you?
Brotherhood when the team isn't just like a team, but it becomes a family. When you struggle together and you have experience together, so you understand each other and you become a family.
Like chemistry.
Okay, very good. What else makes a great team?
Sportsmanship.
Sportsmanship.
Maybe skill.
Okay, skill's important.
Players who lift each other up.
Okay, players who lift each other.
Trust.
Trust. So if you had the opportunity to go out and pick a team that you were going to lead, are these things that you would look for? What are some of the characteristics of, in fact, let's go to that next question. What makes a great team member? If you were going to go build a team of high-performing athletes, both on and off the court, what are the attributes of the team members you would choose?
No, I just raised my hand. Somebody who knows that they're ready to be brought up into a position that they're not usually brought up to, maybe somebody who won't like start a game, but people can see that they put in enough work and they show enough effort that when that opportunity comes up, they won't let their other team they won't let their whole team down. So they're like being ready.
I'd say devotion, having a teammate who's devoted, who actually like wants to be there and get better.
Yeah, I was thinking a variation of that, like someone that's obsessed, but devotion's probably like a healthier version of obsession.
What else? If you're picking the perfect team member, what are some of their attributes?
They would be diverse in what they can do. So, kind of like a jack of all trades.
It'd be like knowledge.
They don't care about who gets the credit. They're just focused on, they're like humble in that respect and focus more on the outcome of the whole.
Yeah, I was gonna say dirty work.
What are they like off the court?
A role model.
Role model. Somebody said brotherhood earlier. Does this apply to that?
Encouraging. Well, I guess that kind of has to do with role model.
All right. So these are all great things. Again, power of a question. Normally, we don't just sit down and think about things unless we have a question in front of us. So these might be things that you continue to think about throughout the season. And you're going to have opportunities in your life where you're going to be either a leader or a team member. And this happens in homes, as a parent, as a sibling. This happens in business. This happens at school. This happens in sports. Happens in organizations, church, community. All sorts of opportunities to evaluate what makes a great leader, what makes a great team, and what makes a great team member. So I'm going to talk about leadership being a choice. Leadership is a choice to live in such a manner that your actions have a marked impact and influence in and on the lives of those around you. So if you think about on and off the court, is the way that you're showing up as a human being, is it in a way that your actions have an impact, a positive impact and influence in the lives of those around you? So the question comes up, well, what do great leaders do? If we study great leadership, we study people of significant influence in our lives, at the end of the day, great leaders develop other leaders. And so those of you that are seniors on the team, you've been on the court, you've been through seasons, you've had ups and downs, you've had opportunities to be a teammate, you've had opportunities to be on a team, you've probably had opportunities where you've been called on to lead some of the younger players. And part of great leadership is developing other leaders. And we do that in a number of ways. I'm going to give you 3 ways that if we look into our lives and we reflect on the leaders who have helped us the most, that have helped shape what I refer to as our paradigm. And our paradigm is just our view of the world. It's the view of the world around us. It's the view of the people in our lives. It's the view of opportunities. So these are people that have helped shape our worldview, and they've significantly influenced our journey to this point. We typically will find 3 common characteristics in great leadership. It's because they intentionally do these 3 things. And again, these will be in the notes. I'll send this presentation to Chris afterwards, and he can distribute it. It'll be in the recording as well. So they do 3 things really well. This is what they do. They teach us how to think, they challenge us, and they role model the way. Some of you have already mentioned that they challenge you, that they're role models. Let's talk about each of these just briefly. So they teach us how to think. Great leaders understand how important it is to have a clear vision of what's in front of you. Great leaders tend to have an opportunistic mindset, which means they always see possibility. They're very aware of the constant choices that are available to us to think and act bigger. They understand and they look at life from a creator's path, which is opposite of a victim path. A creator path would say, given the perceived setback, what opportunities do I see in front of me? And they're also willing to mentor the skill of assuming positive intent in every aspect of their life. They also understand the power of stories. We each write our own stories based on the circumstances that we experience in our life. We'll think about it, we'll feel things about it, and we'll take action usually, and sometimes it's a reaction. And so they understand the power of the stories that we write and the way that our mind and body play together to improve outcomes. So that's one way that they teach us how to think. The next thing is they challenge us. And for a leader to effectively challenge someone that they're leading, they've got to know them. And they know us well enough that they know what the edge of our comfort zone is. They see better than we do what's possible. And they recognize mediocrity because they've experienced it in their own life. And they've experienced what it means to challenge themselves to rise above it. So they know the difference between being nice and being kind. Being nice is sometimes not saying what needs to be said because we're afraid it's going to hurt somebody's feelings or upset them. Being kind is giving them information to be constructive that can help them in their lives. So they're very different, but they understand that. Great leaders understand the difference there. They also understand what it is to be in noble pursuit, and they inspire us to reach higher, to do good, to show up well as a human being. And then the last area that I mentioned is they role model the way. These are individuals in our lives that walk the talk. They're willing to walk arm in arm with us as we lean in to explore our perceived limitations. They're willing to be there with us. They live true to their beliefs and calling in life. These are the type of people that if you see them at home or at work or at church or at school or out in the community, it's the same person that you're going to get in all of those areas. So they lead from a place of what I refer to as moral authority. They're very trusted, and they're trusted deeply by those they serve. There's a high level of respect for these type of individuals. So how can we leverage this then? If you've got people in your life that have shown up in that way, that you can count on them to role model the way, to challenge you, to teach you how to think, how can we leverage this personally and as a team? So what are some thoughts? How might we leverage strong leadership that surrounds us to make us better as a team and to make us better personally?
And I'm going to ask a clarifying question or to make sure that I'm understanding it. Everything that you just covered, they teach us how to think, they challenge us, they role model the way. Is it like, how do we use these tactics to leverage this personally, or how do we like identify and find people that are leaders to benefit us, if that makes sense?
Great question. I would say both. Let's tackle if we have leaders like this in our life that we recognize that do these things really well, how would we tap into that leadership? Let's start with that question.
Follow their example.
What's that?
Okay, follow their example. What else would we do?
Try to be around them more often. Try to surround yourself with people like them.
Okay, that's a great example. Great answer on that. What else could we do?
Ask for feedback.
Yep, it's a great one. So let's flip this now and go into that second part of the question that you asked, Chris, and that is, how could I be someone of significant influence in the lives of others? And if we look at those three tactics, do I have opportunities to share different perspectives, to challenge somebody that maybe is on my team or in my life in a positive way that helps them realize greatness? And the third is, how am I being a role model? And so if you look at those principles and you apply it to your own life, they'll always show up personally as a team, both from trying to surround yourself with individuals that have that level of impact in your life, or that could have that level of impact in your life. The other thing is being that type of impact and influence in others' lives. So for the sake of time, let's keep going. And then there's going to be a quick exercise that I'm going to take you guys through. So you mentioned this just a minute ago. Always surround yourself with people who want you to win. There's a lot of people in your life that want you to win. You got parents, you've got teachers, you've got siblings, you got coaches, you got teams, teammates, friends. You might look at those individuals or those groups of individuals and say, okay, are they a positive influence in my life? Some of us might have friends that are horrible influences in our life. We might need to upgrade our friend group. Some of us, we may not be engaging with these groups of individuals very often. But if we recognize that in general, they want to see us win. They want to see us win in life. They want to see us win in our pursuits. They want us to be successful both on and off the court. So remember that. Always surround yourself with people who want you to win. It will have a major impact in your progress throughout your life. This doesn't just apply to this season. This applies to all of the seasons of your life. And it's moments when we might be surrounded by a group of people that don't have a great impact on us. And that can challenge us. It can challenge our progress. So I'm going to take you through an exercise. It's a pick 3 exercise. So if you've got your journals, this will be the start of your journal exercise, and then I'm going to give you 2 questions to journal as well. So the pick 3 exercise, you'll hear people often say, somebody else's opinion of you is none of your business. Meaning, if somebody's got an opinion of you, ignore it. Do your thing, do what you're going to do, and stay focused. Well, there are people in my life that I very much care about how they experience me. I care about how my children experience me as a father. I care about how my spouse experiences me as a spouse. I care about how my team receives me as a leader. I care about how my peers and colleagues and friends experience me. What I mean by that is if you could pick 3 words, 3 attributes, 3 characteristics, 3 outcomes that would describe how you want others to experience you, what would they be? And I'll give you an example of this. If I were to engage with my children, what are the 3 things that I would want them, if they were going to describe their interaction with me, what would they be? I'd want them to feel loved. I'd want them to recognize my presence in that moment, and I'd want them to feel supported, or I'd want them to feel encouraged. So those are 3 examples of if I could do everything in my power to help them experience that when they interact with me, these are the 3 words that I would use to describe that. So take just a minute and jot down 3 words that describe how you would have others experience you. Please share them with the group. So red sweatshirt. Go for it.
I got strong, kind, and trustworthy.
Okay, I love it. Those are awesome. Somebody else.
I got courageous, God-loving, and supportive.
Okay, that's great. One more.
I got dedicated, loving, and supportive.
Okay. So here's how I would challenge you with this exercise. If those things are important to you, that's how you would want others to experience you. You all have phones. They all have alarms and reminder systems on them. I would set 3 or 4 reminders every day. And you can label those alarms or you can label the reminders. Label them with those 3 words. So when it comes up and you go to hit snooze or go to turn it off, you'll see those 3 words. That'll give you a constant reminder that this is how I want to show up. This is how I want others to experience me. So you might leave a classroom or an encounter with a friend or something that kind of spins you up a little bit. Those moments can give you a reset. And again, you've got your teachers, your parents, your siblings, your teammates, your coach, all of these different people that experience you throughout the day and throughout the week. And so check in with yourself. Be intentional about this. If this is important to you, set the system in place to help remind you how to do that. Okay, last set of questions. You'll have 2 here, and these will be for your journal as well. I think these are big, and Chris, I'd like you to go back and reference these throughout the season if you can. So the first question is, what am I personally willing to sacrifice for the betterment of my team? What am I willing to set aside? What am I willing to give up? What am I willing to take a pause on in order to sacrifice that so that my team can be better? And I'll just leave both of these questions up on the screen for a minute. So the first one is, what am I willing to sacrifice for the betterment of my team? Now, I want you to think about that specifically for this season that you're all in together. And the second question is, what's the personal skill set that I want to improve? And what's my plan to do that? And that could be on or off the court. Maybe pick one for each. So you have those 2 questions. I know I haven't given you a lot of time to spend on them. Usually with questions, we're going to have a first pass where we just quickly answer something. We answer it to get the question off our plate. What I would challenge you to go back and do in your journals, if you've written these questions down, and again, they'll be in the recording and the slides that I send afterwards, but go back and reflect on these questions again and again. Take the time that these questions deserve. These are big questions for you as you head into your season. Now you've got a couple of games under your belt. You're going into a big game. So what am I willing to sacrifice for the betterment of the team? And what personal skill set do I want to improve upon? And what's my plan to do that, both on and off the court? Two powerful questions. They should unlock a lot of things for you. I would challenge you as each of you answer that first question, even the second question, I challenge you to share that with every member of your team. I think it's important for you to verbalize to your team and make a commitment to them what you're willing to sacrifice for them, for the team. I also think it's important for them to cheer you on with regards to the things that you want to improve upon. So, Chris, I'll let you follow up on that. If you guys want to stay connected, you can find me on social Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, got a website. So you can take a photo of that, screenshot it if you want to reach out, ask questions. Try to put out content that has an impact. So that's it. Chris, back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Art.
Thank you.
Give a round of applause. Does anyone have any questions or follow-up for Art before we let him go?
When did you really start taking seriously and into consideration what you have developed today as a leader?
I realized early on when I was in high school that I had an impact on the world around me. I had different opportunities to play on teams, basketball teams, golf teams. Had the opportunity to be around a lot of friends, and I saw the impact of both positive and negative influence. And I did my best to be positive, to have a good impact on others. I had really good coaches, and I made friends with people that had a positive influence in my life. I had friends that were adults, friends that were coaches, team members that I could count on, that I knew were cheering me on. And I know that that was a good head start for me. Now, that led me through high school and into college. And as you go out your own, you're going to recognize that at the end of the day, your success is going to be on your shoulders. Nobody else is going to drag you along. They're not going to push you on this stuff. You're going to be required to surround yourself with good people. And there was a period in my life where I was not around positive influence, and it impacted my progress. It actually took me backwards. And so it wasn't until about, I'd say 12 years ago that I started to get real serious about this and make some shifts. I just got done writing a book about it and the things that I learned personally and how I needed to be willing to sacrifice my own short-term desires and bad habits. I had to let those go if I wanted things better in my life. And what I realized is I had a whole bunch of people around me that wanted to see me win at that. Ever since then, I've done my best to surround myself with really good people, to not just be a great leader, but to be a great team member and to participate with others, be open to others' perspectives, be willing to ask myself questions. So this has been a lifelong habit pursuit. In moments in my life or seasons in my life where I haven't taken it serious are the moments I've struggled the most. Moments when I have taken it serious are moments that have been great successes for me in my life. It's helped me progress.
I have a question. What would you say the most impactful habit that you have like I don't know if this is the right way of thinking about it, but I'm almost thinking about like the highest ROI habit, if that makes sense to you. And then is it the same now that it was when you were in high school or college, or can you even recall a time that shifted? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say that in high school and growing up, I probably would have perceived activity or forward action as one of the crucial habits. Today, hands down, it's psychology. It's all the stuff that happens between our ears and our brain. And our mindset, the way we view the world around us, the meaning that we make of the circumstances in our life and the stories that we write that we tend to prescribe to, that has so much power in our life to either propel us forward or to shut us down. So psychology, a habit of positive psychology has become the thing. If I were to drop all other habits, I would hang my hat on that.
Well, what does that actually look like as a daily habit? What are the tactics or like, what do you actually do? If I'm like, okay, I want to have more positive psychology, how do I bring that into my day?
Yeah, I always start with evaluating. So I'll reflect on the thoughts of my day and I'll tie them to circumstances. So if I'm driving to work and somebody cuts me off on the road, I'll go back and look, okay, what are the thoughts I had about that driver? What are the feelings that created in me or that I allowed to continue to foster? And what actions did I take? Did I start to tailgate him? Did I fly? Did I give him the bird? Did I yell at him? Was I frustrated? Was I angry? When I understand the relationship that all of the circumstances in my life have neutral value, I'm the one that turns those into meaning. And so I'll go back and reflect. And when I reflect on the way that I thought throughout the day, I reflect, are there opportunities for me to think differently about that circumstance? And if I were to think differently about that circumstance, how would I produce greater results in my life? So it's an everyday thing. It's a point of attention at the start of the day, knowing how I want to think about things, and then a reflection at the end of the day, how did I think about things? And recognizing that in every position of thought and feeling, I have a choice. Nobody can take that choice away from me. So I have the ability to architect from that reflection every day.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions, guys?
What do you see as the most valuable aspect of a leader?
Most valuable aspect of a leader. Long before we can ever be a great leader, we've got to figure out how to be a great team member. And by being a great team member, you get to know your team. You get to know the people that are around you. And if you remember those three elements of leadership, that middle one about challenging others and developing, as far as leaders developing other leaders, we got to know our people. So start by being a great team member.
Awesome. Well, Art, thank you very much. This was awesome. I appreciate your generosity in coming on and doing this. And
Sure.
yeah, appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and stop.
Awesome. Good luck, guys, in the game.
Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that conversation with Art McCracken, and we will see you next time on The Pursuit of Purpose.